Hello, I'm joined today with Matt Holdsworth of Holdsworth & Company. He's a CPA in Prescott, Arizona, and we're going to talk about how OfficeTools Professional has affected his firm. Matt, I know that years ago you decided to look at our software and choose it as a solution. So I want to know what went into that process. So could you tell me a little bit about your practice prior to using OfficeTools Professional and the things that you needed at that time?
We had grown from just my business partner and I, he was also a CPA, and at the time the economy was booming and we were just having a really hard time as our practice grew and we added more CPAs, keeping track of where that work was in our office. We got to the point where we had 3 CPAs working for us, and when a client would call in, they'd call to ask where their return was, we couldn't give them a quick answer. It's like, well, let me call you back in a half an hour. And then it was a mad scramble from our front office staff to go and figure out who had the return, what phase of completion it was in, and then call the client back. And I thought, there's got to be a better way to solve this problem. I mean, this is a problem perfectly suited for software. I mean, we need this information available. In addition to that, with all of our new employees, we were having substantial write-offs of time where we knew, according to what our pro forma said, how much time we should be billing, and how much time we were actually billing was much different. And those people were all still working full time, so we began the effort to try to find an office management program that was integrated. And so we started putting in different parts and pieces. We'd come up with one program to do due date tracking, and then we came up with another program to just do time and billing, and then another program to do contact management, and then another program to keep track of all of our phone calls.
Right.
And so we had all these different programs, and we still weren't even getting the information that we needed. Because the due date tracking program, although we could enter in when that 1040 was due, we didn't know where it was at any point of the process. It really wasn't a workflow management. So we began the search. We made a few tries at some other software, and then I came across you at a conference here in Las Vegas. And immediately when I saw the program with its various tabs with contacts, phone calls, documents, I knew we were there. I thought, oh, this is the solution. Because I had already attempted to implement 2 or 3 other packages, I think I found you in December. I had the program live by January 31st.
So you went at it, purchased it, and then decided, I'm going to start implementing this, even though tax season was pending right there.
Right on top of us. Because I just couldn't bear having another tax season without knowing where in the office these projects were at and at what status. I mean, it was just becoming so counterproductive. So we implemented the entire program with the exception of document management by January 31st of that year.
Oh, wow.
And we started with the workflow tracking. Now, granted, in the subsequent 8 years, we've learned a lot about how to use the program, how to modify our office policies and so forth. So we've certainly gotten better, but that first season, we were live. We were tracking those tax returns. We took a one phone call from a client that would take 15 to 20 minutes worth of office time and eliminate it down to 10 seconds worth of looking it up on the computer. Right. I mean, it was just like this sea change of events. The next big thing that we discovered was we started to learn where our time was going and where it was being written off. And we were able to immediately start making changes. Now, in that environment, we did have some staff turnover because we started holding our staff accountable, which did cost some of our employees for sure. But in the meantime, we've been able to replace those with employees. They understand what their goals are. They have a system that they can monitor the goals by. And I was just recounting to another one of the attendees here that I think we have one employee's been with me for 8 years, since the beginning of the OfficeTools Pro implementation, and my tax manager's now been with me for 4 years. And we went from an area of a lot of turnover to now we have a stable staff. My bookkeeping manager's been with me for 10 years. She's gone through all of it, all these different systems, and we just love OfficeTools Pro. And now we're to the point now where we did our post-tax season analysis. The first thing we turned to was OfficeTools Pro. I mean, it's become such an integral part of us. I don't even think about the tool anymore. The tool's just there, and we have a whole different, we spend all that time analyzing it and speaking about other things, ways to measure the practice.
So it sounds like you're doing more than just tax services, and that was a big need to know where the tax return is. Was it also a need to know where the monthly work and quarterly work
Absolutely.
was.
We
So
use
that
it
was a
for
part of
sales
that.
tax. We track all of our payroll projects through it. We store all of our documents related to payroll. We have checklists that we store in the document management to know when things are going to be done. I just had an instance where 6 years on, the IRS was questioning whether or not we had mailed a document in on time. Go back into the document management. There's our log, all the notes on it, boom. I mean, we retrieved that document in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
No going back through boxes in the attic or across town in the document storage facility. So, you know, even the new features, the missing information in the 1040 and the notes that you can take to have a dialogue between the preparer and the reviewer have made a huge difference. Because now everything's right there in one place, and we can roll those notes over from year to year, so that information related to a return is sticky. And that's what's important, is that once we've learned something about a client, we want that to be sticky and to pass on from year to year, and that's been a major benefit.
So in the beginning, you were looking at this unique problem, not to you, but to the whole industry, the workflow, needed workflow software and due date monitoring. And you saw that as a need, and then you saw, as you added different applications, it was the disconnection between these applications that wasn't working for you. It was almost like a half solution. Mm-hmm. And so would you say that bringing it all together into one screen, that was the real, you mentioned that's what you saw when you
The integration
first
is
saw
what
it.
sold me originally, because I had this idea. We just had, you know, when I had to go set up a new computer, it would take me 2 days to install all the different programs, tie them into the databases. I mean, it just became an unmanageable task, or it was becoming unmanageable. So it was just, with this growth, we had experienced all these things, no integration among the applications, no ability to track tax returns. So my goal at the time was just to find something that was integrated.
Right.
The time and billing, the fact that we were later able to analyze reports was just an added benefit that you had put in the program, where I had never even really evaluated the benefit of being able to do that. My goal was just to have it integrated and be able to find stuff fast.
And you know, we call that integration within, where if you don't have the program tightly knit together, then it doesn't serve you well. And so you can go out and buy a program, but if it takes you 10 clicks to get information out of it and go to other applications to get information, then you're defeating the purpose of a single kind of database. So I would say you eliminated what, 2 or 3 different other programs at least?
Well, we eliminated the phone call program. We eliminated the contact database we had, which was Outlook, because now that's in OfficeTools Pro. We eliminated the due date monitoring. Mm-hmm. And it seems, and then we had a different spreadsheet set up to keep track of all of our client numbers, because we had to assign each one a unique client number so that we could put it into our tax program in order to know what number to assign them. Right. So it actually, at first...
And then documents?
Well, documents, we were just using
program.
Windows Explorer.
Right.
We were storing all those in Windows Explorer. So to the extent that you can count that as a program, really we consolidated 5 processes down into one.
Yeah.
Well, and then we had QuickBooks to do all of our time and billing. So and we quit using that.
There's a 6th thing.
There's 6.
Wow.
So basically, we replaced every tab that is in OfficeTools Pro, with the exception of where physical documents were stored, because we never had tracked that.
Right, like in file drawers.
We had always been like an archive, a digital archive office. So
it'd be hard to see your office without all that. Going back to that would just be horrible.
I can't even. No, I don't even really.
Yeah, you don't even want to go there.
It, yeah.
And now you're evaluating the portal. You're thinking about that as another thing. And as we need new things, we're constantly trying to redevelop stuff. And it's so nice to talk to you, to hear that story, because I've known you for a number of years. But to hear it from customers of ours is really good to know what can happen with OfficeTools Professional, what are the options and the possibilities. And you sound like you've found all the possibilities. And that's really what we're about, is all those 5 or 6 things in one place. And I'm certainly glad to have met you and have you come by and talk with us about this, and appreciate your using our software.
Well, it's been great talking to you, Mike. I'll look forward to many more years of successful use.
Thanks. We appreciate that.